Yeah, real quickly, we'll start winding down here just a little bit, but I want to mention a couple of things that are available to you this season and also in your packet. First thing, I got a big growers and agribusiness in the room. In your packet is a little survey of varieties. We'd like to have a profile of varieties grown in Michigan, and we do this every couple of years. There's no official way to do this, and it hasn't been done in Michigan except a survey a few years ago. But we're going to use this in one way, is to see what varieties guys are starting to lean towards, but also to get a profile of our scab tolerance and susceptibility and compare that. So there's a pencil in the middle of your tables, and so if I could come away with a couple hundred of these filled out, it'll take you about 30 seconds, so please do that. If you're in agribusiness, just relate to a single farm. Many of you in the room know many farmers, and you know the stats and what varieties, so just use that if you would. So agribusiness, please fill these out as well. Just relate to a grower that's not here and fill it out, just what variety he is growing. You can turn those in with your RUP bubble sheets in just a minute. I'll give you that number as well. Otherwise, in your packet, Marty Chilvers and I every year do an update on the scab, a little fact sheet. That's posted, but I just would like you to remind you that that's there. As Dave said, we can reduce scab by 50% in a couple of different ways. Certainly through Prosaro and the use of Carumba, very important in Michigan. The single input that has improved our production in Michigan is not varieties, and hopefully they will real soon, but it's been the use of fungicides, both in terms of quality and overall performance. But using those is really important. I think I could say for the first time, Canada's a little bit ahead of us in terms of varieties and how much susceptibility we have inherent in our varieties, but we're really making progress, both in the public sector and private sector. So as you look into next fall, really pay attention to susceptibility and help that really use as a tool. At long last, some of our best yielding varieties also have some really good scab resistance, and we need to take advantage of that. So Eric and Dennis and a few of us will get together and make sure that you understand the scoring, at least from our perspective, of those varieties. Jody mentioned this, but another really nice tool for agribusiness. Maybe it's even more practical for you, but with some of your growers, if you have any question on what's going on in the wheat crop, please send it on down to Jan on campus. The directions are on the back side. This too is in your packet. But avail yourself of that opportunity. Again, the Wheat Board for the third year will be funding that, which is a big help. Also in there, I have just a couple of websites. I think Jody's going to pull a few of us together, and Dennis, and see if we can make this a little bit easier for us and more importantly for you, but probably coalesce some of our information. But certainly we'll be using the wheat program fully for information. In terms of a newsletter, I do put that out, and if you'd like to be on that newsletter, just write your name on that variety form that I just asked you to fill out. Just put your name and email address, and I'll know that you're asking me to put you on that list. I do not just automatically put folks on that. Back issues, if you want to add up how many times I'm wrong, back issues over the last couple of years are posted on the wheat website under education. I'll also try to get that on Facebook, but what I'm hoping for is more dialogue. Years ago when we were talking about developing the wheat industry in Michigan, one of the components that we probably haven't pulled off real well is interchange between the industry and growers and a real dialogue. Anytime you talk about a variety or a commodity, something magical happens, and it's all good. And so I think maybe the wheat yield contest might help facilitate some of that conversation, but as much dialogue and observations as we can have, it's only good for the industry and good for all of us. Other fact sheets are available on the MSU Extension Field website. And again, that's in your packet, in that list, if you'd like to take advantage of that. On that, for MSU Extension, for the whole organization, this is a pretty good website. And from there, you can see all the events as well. The events, I know, I hear from many of you, there's so many, it's hard to sort through, but that's one place that is linked to all the events that are going on at any given time. Then Dave showed this too. They don't use this system, but the Fusarium head blight monitoring system in Michigan, unlike other states, I know especially with white, we just automatically use a fungicide. I would endorse that, not just for scab, but also for leaf diseases. Red weed is a little bit more of a question, but especially agribusiness. If your growers don't want to pay attention to that, it's up to you. But agribusiness, in terms of advising your folks in terms of what rate of Prosaro or Carumba to use, or how much of a risk we're looking at, and also anticipating those levels of scab so we can start setting our combines and maybe making decisions on what parts of the fields and which fields to harvest. It's just another good tool out there, and I use it for ground truthing. I forget to check it myself, but boy, if I say, boy, I'm not sure what's going on, that map is very good for me. And last year was a good example. It turned more colors. We had an extremely high risk, especially in the southern part of the state, as colorful as I've seen it in many years. And in fact, some of you were very unfortunate with some pretty high DON levels. But again, a nice tool just to stay in touch with. And then the wheat breeding teams, their past performance trials are there are posted on that other site, on that sheet that I gave you. Probably agronomically, our best tool is that performance trial reports. You just got to have a lot of patience going through it and look what the characteristics of each of these varieties are. We're going to try to summarize that so it's a little bit more friendly for growers to use in their varietal selection. But again, I'd probably go to that reference more than anything else in Michigan that we produce. I think that's it.